Good evening, viewers. Welcome to the Face Off. Peter Kibazo, Friday night. Yes, a very wrong time for me to be seated on a TV set. I should be seated somewhere in a club, enjoying myself. But yes, deployed to do this job. Very good evening to lots of my friends that I bump into wherever I bump into, and they have comments about the show. I'll start with the lady on the set. We have Mary Goreti Nakabugo from Uwezo.
You should add PhD.
I won't add the doctor.
I'm happy to be Goreti. Good evening, viewers.
I was told that when you find it at the end of the name, the owner does not seek to be called doctor. I may be corrected.
You're right.
Welcome, Mary.
Thank you.
And seated right next to Mary, and for the reasons that we have a lady on the set, he's decided to do a full suit, is David Pulko.
Just in case. Good evening, viewers.
All the way from Karamoja, the Karamoja of Dar es Salaam. He was in Arusha as President Nkurunziza was...
I was in Dar, actually, when
Nkurunziza was being shipped out.
he was also in Dar at the time, when the news came.
And you were part of the conspirators.
No, I was in Dar, so watching things from very close quarters.
Did you check his body temperature?
Well, I think sweating like a monkey.
Did you shake hands?
When a monkey sweats, nobody notices.
Well, yesterday he was playing soccer.
He
was doing very well, crossing the balls, and the press conference is offered. He hasn't talked about the coup, so it can't be anywhere within his bloodstream. I have Chaz Romshana, balding at a very fast rate. Welcome, Chaz.
The Almighty God is great.
And Chaz is a very happy man because of news coming out of Ruhama.
God is great. The Trinity of the Father, the Son, and then Kainerugaba, and it has no spirit. It had a mother. And he said, I'm going to you, things are hot. She's taken off. Now, I don't know what now to call it.
I know these are among your happy moments, but I don't know whether your joy will last.
I'm equally happy because she had said if I came through in the last election, she would resign her job. And of course, they made sure that they really had to rig it and disorganize the whole campaign so I don't come through. But thank God, with the late Kanchirio.
I have Richard Baguma, one of the Ntare boys, either responsible for the peace or the disharmony in Burundi. I know that the Ntare territory is receiving quite a number of refugees, by the way, a very serious one. I shared with Charles a picture of a stream of refugees pouring out of Burundi. I think I shared it with him on Facebook, and it is painful. I also saw today that in Nakivale camp in Uganda, just today, we received close to 400 refugees.
From Burundi.
From Burundi. That came in today, and that is one day.
That's about the daily rate.
So if you have...
yesterday and just about the daily rate.
So if the average is 350, in 10 days you have 3,500. Not a very rosy number to have, and I'm not sure we have the capacity to deal with that. Welcome, Richard.
I enjoy relating to night dancing sometimes. Because, night dancers jubilate when people fall.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which one are you talking about? When they go to the club?
No. When people fall, dancers jubilate. But I think it would be. I think it would be. I think it would be unfair to put the situation in Burundi at the door of.
When Uganda's problem is about the longevity of the family in the power, and then your wife unilaterally says we shouldn't delay here, we shouldn't be so.
Should pack our bag.
Let's pack. I'm not going back together in the third round. Then it's not a simple crisis.
Well, viewers. I certainly am not going to start out with the wrongly worded intention not to run that has been worded such that resignation, it is certainly not a resignation. It is an intention not to run for office for the next time with a vision from God the Father.
And she's in lieu of the Spirit.
Well, I'll get away from there. David Pulko, today I talk education, and I have the benefit of having you here, having served as Minister of Education. Deputy, was it deputy or was it a state?
I was a deputy minister
of education. Not yesterday.
Before we abolished the word deputy and put all
State.
ministers to be ministers of state in the constitution.
That isn't yesterday. You and Kanonua Manyamshega gloated in having closed Makerere for the first time. You know, every time I meet Manyamshega, he says there are things that people had never done, but that we started and did. One of those was people thought Makerere University could not close. I closed and went back in the evening, and the skies hadn't fallen.
Those are Manyamshega's views. Those are not mine.
Well,
but we also got out of Makerere from the days of Muasa the benefit of negotiating with academic staff, and we discovered very fine individuals who had the same objectives with us. Abel Rendere, we took him to UPK at the time, Kiamboko.
As a way of diffusing
No. He produced results. We took Sebufu, Professor Sebufu, into it, and then we took and the university secretary and so forth. No. What it meant was we were able to bring back and so forth. So we found that actually the workshop for casting new human beings to run the state is not there. You work with those that God has given you already. Just listen to each other, take ideas, and work together.
David.
But supposing we had tear gas at the time.
Well, I'm not
Every little thing is tear gas these days. Every little thing, tear gas.
At the time if you give, there were live bullets.
No. For us was that you would go in and sit and let reason prevail.
Well, David, let me get to the plight of
negotiate with UNATU. Yeah, that's the point I'm making.
My production team had better talk to me about the chair. I may soon be shorter than the table. But those are issues for
that's the effect of GMOs. The foods we eat, the table just goes down.
But David, I get straight to this week. It seems like now deja vu. I know it's going to happen at some point, especially very close to the budget or just after the budget. The teachers are going to go on strike and the state will not have money and all those things. The teachers are asking for an increment of about 10%, of 10% onto their current salary. I checked with various levels of teachers. I'm told grade 3 is 300,000. Merigority from Uwezo Twaweza have been doing work with teachers, but I'm told there are 300,000 for grade 3, about 400 and something for grade 5, and 600,000 for graduates. If you look at the individual, it is 60,000, it is 45,000, it is 30,000.
What they're asking for on top.
What they're asking for over and above what they get now. If you look at the individual. If you look at the grand total, you are talking in excess of 100 billion, I think.
167 billion.
On the budget. And government of Uganda is saying, wait a minute, it's a bad year. We can't do this now. Can we negotiate? Can we extend it? Can it happen later? I talked to a teacher on Monday. And actually didn't talk to them face to face. They called onto a radio show on Radio Simba. And this is what they said. And I found it very interesting, if not painful. They said, I earn 300,000 shillings. I live in Kawempe. I teach at Wandegea Muslim Primary School, I think it was. And they were asking the gentleman with whom I was on the show that, do me one favor, break down that money in a budget for me for a month. The 300,000, please spread it for me and give me some for the rent, give me some for the transport to deliver me to Wandegea, give me some for the food, and tell me how I should manage this money. We never answered that question, but for me it was very telling. David,
yep.
The teachers, one, are they asking too much at looking at the macro level? I don't want to look at the micro, the 30, the 45, the 60. At the macro level, Are they asking too much from the budget? Is the government being dishonest by not telling them that cut, we don't have this money, we won't be able to give it to you? I'll come to with other questions. I need to ask the others.
Well, I think I begin from a life example of that teacher who asked you to break that for him and see how it works out. If a family of 7 or 6, since the Uganda mother is fertile, I think 6.4 or something like that, children per mother, or from our own statistics, you'll find that you may need about 2 kilos of posho, for example, a day, or maybe how much cooking oil, how much water per day, how many 5 jerrycans or something, how much per jerrycan. If you look at the transport to workplace and back to workplace, maybe a quarter of sugar or a half a kilogram of sugar per day or something, maybe beans 1 kilogram or so, charcoal 3,000. You may work into about something like 15,000 a day. Now, when you put airtime is talking, when you put treatment when he's sick and malaria is rampant, when you put per house rent, if you say 1 room, 80,000, just to be conservative, really.
1 room for 6 children.
And now when you put power, which is Yaka 20,000, for example. So you make walk into just rent alone and power into 100,000. What remains? Now when you multiply 15,000 times how many days a month? So sincerely, what are we doing to our teachers? Are we being fair to our teachers? I have lived in a teacher's house. My dad was a school teacher. He became a headmaster. I ended up being a university. I ended up being a teaching assistant in Makerere University. I ended up being a lecturer in Makerere University. And today my children are professors, okay, like Nwagaba, like Professor Yasino Lum, and quite their Singwires and so forth, the Salam Sumbas and so forth. But are we really treating our teachers very well? Because would you have us if there was no teacher? And the parliament today is full of teachers. How come that when you reach there, you forget the teacher who made you what you are? So I think it's very important that we discuss this, because the teachers are sharing a role with the parents. Much of the year, these children are in the hands of the teachers. They are not with their parents. So people who are sharing a parenting role, molding the next generation of Ugandan citizens, sharing that burden with the actual parents. Now, when they're in trouble like this, where are the parents? The parents should join this strike. The parents should not be neutral on matters like this, because your other partners in bringing up Ugandan children are in trouble. Why should the parents keep quiet? Where are the foundation bodies of these schools? Where are they remaining neutral? Because these are the people who labor. These are the people who maintain these facilities. These are people who make children succeed. So when you look at men and women of goodwill in this country, should we really remain like we are neutral in this debate? I think we must have a side for in favor of the teacher, because these are honest questions. Because now when you earn that 370,000, how much is payee? At 150,000...
shall I quickly qualify that? In the last discussion that government had with the teachers, the threshold for pay as you earn was lifted to such a level on the teacher's salary that the grade 3 teacher does not pay as you earn, I am told.
Whatever it is now, but I've known payee as 150,000.
The threshold was lifted for the teachers.
Now, for me, I would even lift it and say any Ugandan who earns 500,000 below should not pay payee. That money should remain in your pocket. Why should it be taken away from you and be stolen again or put into
Do you have a
potholes?
problem with Grace Akora?
No. Yeah, the point I'm making here is that whether you're a policeman, you're a nurse, or you're a teacher, you're not buying imported goods. You're buying things that are manufactured here, food that is grown here. You actually provide a better market for our produce. So why should we take that little money? That money must stay in your pocket. Because these are the people who have other opportunities. Travel inland, travel abroad. They pick allowances. Where does the teacher pick allowances from? In fact, I would even introduce allowances. If your paper is passed in distinction, you must have 10,000, 15,000 per every distinction that you produce. I would even go a step further. Because even if you're a school teacher, you must be the rank of an undersecretary, of a PS. There must be ladders. senior teaching educator, this principal, this auntie, so that even if you're in the classroom, you must be earning the same salary like a permanent secretary. So we
the
must.
growth scheme has been developed.
I'm trying to say that.
Let me just inform that
Yeah?
the growth scheme and development scheme has been developed by the Ministry of Public Service and Teaching Service Commission. Unfortunately,
Frozen.
it doesn't have funding. So you can't promote Pulkora and say double senior education officer at the level of undersecretary, and you do not have the money to give the commensurate reward.
And the PSS have other opportunities, particularly in this workshop economy, where people go to workshops. The cow goes to workshops, the LC5 goes to workshop. These people, it's a sitting allowance. There's no walking allowance or squatting allowance. It's about, so where does the teacher get extra income?
Mary.
Yes, please.
It's not fair.
Let me hear your voice on this. I know that Twaweza and Uwezo, I think last year, if I'm not right, did a research within education, and it had issues of quality. And yesterday when I was listening to one of the ministers, they were saying, but Wajama, shouldn't we even be looking your side and seeing, because you still have issues to do with quality? But let me pick your mind on the current standoff. Because I also talked to an officer at the Ministry of Education who told me this isn't even the teachers' strike. It is really a UNATU thing. UNATU is much more interested in getting their hands on, what do they call it, the SACCO money. They want the money moved from Microfinance Support Center and moved to the teachers' SACCO, some pinnacle of the SACCOs of the teachers, so that they are the ones that manage the 11% interest.
Are they zombies? Can they manage it themselves? Wouldn't they be in Butabika if they were mad? Why give somebody else to manage for them?
Move it today and give it to the teachers' SACCOs union, and they are the ones that manage the 11% and the 4%, because there is an automatic 11% interest that should revert to the managers of this, and then there is another 4% that is called administrative fees. Then there would be no problem. But that explanation was unofficial. It is really an off-the-cuff, over-chai explanation.
Corridor talk.
Yes.
Well, the truth is that there's a crisis in the country, and I'm not talking about a political crisis that Honorable Mushana was talking about. We're talking about a crisis where we have millions of children going to school, but not learning at all. So for the last 4 years, we have been undertaking research across East Africa, in Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania, just in basic competences that every child who goes to school should have. And consistently for the last 4 years, it is showing that our millions of children in our country are actually not learning even the basics. So the report that you referred to, Mr. Kibazo, is we did do the research in 2013, but the report has come out this year. We have just released it. And what we have released is a comparison between the three countries, Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania. And it's very pathetic that Ugandan children are trailing compared to the other two countries. That is not to say that Kenya and Tanzania are doing much, much better than us, but I mean, if people know the history of Uganda, where our education was the glory of our nation, people get worried. And just to take it back to the teacher strike, okay, if children are not learning when the teachers are there, what is happening this week? We have lost a whole week. We don't know if next week children will go back to school. So all that time for learning has been wasted. So a lot of research has indicated that one of the key factors to contribute to good learning is a motivated teaching force. So teachers need to be motivated, and a good salary is one of the motivators. But of course, it's not the only thing. There are lots of other things that motivate teachers. So, and when we talk about the teachers' issue, I think also the public is quite right to also demand the other side, that once the teachers have been motivated, we also demand for good learning outcomes. Yeah. So I think the topic here with the people in power is to ensure that we reach an agreement where teachers are quite satisfied and motivated to go back to teach. But we should also start probably setting conditions for the teachers. Once a good salary has been agreed upon, we start setting conditions that we need to deliver also. Because actually just increasing salaries...
But Mary, hold on, let me ask you.
Sure.
I have been in the industry of education.
Right.
As a teacher.
Good.
As a teacher.
When you are saying it.
No, I am, Charles. I'm a journalist, I'm a teacher, and lots of other things. But I need to ask, because I find this very interesting. When all these statistics on research about the quality of education in Uganda comes out, and I look at what genuinely is happening in the market, they are not commensurate. We are saying that the quality and levels of education in Uganda are nosediving. But I am seeing busloads of people coming to Uganda to acquire that product. When I see the rankings of universities, I think except for, was it Moi University in Nairobi, the latest ranking of the universities, Makerere was the only one among the 10 best universities in Africa from this region. When you take away the affluent schools like Turi, Brookhouse, Aga Khan Academy, Mombasa, the rest of education happens in Uganda. Are you telling me that the people of this region are so wanting in the grain matter that they choose the worst for their children?
What kind of people migrate from Kenya and Tanzania to come to our schools? And at what level, anyway? So...
Middle income?
So bringing children here to Uganda to pass exams is different from bringing children here to learn the basic competencies. I think across East Africa, actually, let's not just narrow down on Uganda alone, but across East Africa, employers are actually complaining. Many of you probably are employers. You get graduates with masters who cannot write even an application. That problem stems not from the universities, actually it stems from the foundations. And if you look at the type of, or the children who come from Kenya and Tanzania to Uganda and other African countries, they don't come here for primary 1. They don't come here for primary 2, 3.
They actually do.
Very few.
To learn English.
Very, very few. The majority actually come in secondary school.
Then we teach good English.
I hear you, but then you go to learn Kiswahili the other side.
Yeah. So many of them come when they've already attained the foundations to learn further.
Well, viewers, we're talking education. And Richard, just before I come to you, I'll take this break. But one of those questions I need you to ponder. I'm thinking, would it be better if I kept the teachers at even less than what they earn, but provide for them housing, ensure that their water bills are paid by the schools, ensure that all their utility bills are picked, power, water, are picked by the schools, and there is school housing for every public school? Would it change? If I ensured that for every teacher that has worked for the education service in public system for 10 years can attain, at least if they are going to pay for their children in a public university, they should pay only 50% of the fees. Would I have this clamor for increase by the negligible, painful 30,000 shillings that we call 10%, that has put this country to a standstill because a teacher is crying out, give me 30%, that I wouldn't give to all the guys on this table except myself as their fuel to go home and back and they get here. Don't go away.